Hey, it's Joe Amoia, founder and creator of GPSforlove.com. Are you at that point in your journey where you're just having a hard time creating the relationship that you're really looking for, and you're scratching your head trying to figure it out? Well, if so, I want you to pay close attention, because today we're going to talk about something that's vital and essential if you're going to create the relationship you really desire and deserve. Today we're going to talk about the two laws of love. Now, I know some of you going, laws of love, Joe, what the hell are you talking about? I want you to pay close attention, because not understanding about these two laws and how they work in your life, especially your love life, is one of the major reasons that you struggle. Now, the two laws that we're going to talk about are the law of chaos and the law of organization. Now, the law of chaos is when you believe that there's no organizing principle or power in the world for how things appear. And when you believe in the law of chaos, you believe that life is a series of random events, and there ain't nothing that you can do about it. Life just happens, as they say, shit happens, and ain't nothing you can do about it. And when you subscribe to the law of chaos, it's kind of like it's like a deck of cards. You're dealt a certain hand, and the hand you get is the hand that you have to live with. There's absolutely nothing you can do. People who subscribe to this mentality, this law, tend to have a pessimist mentality. It's the glass half empty mentality. I also call it the victim mentality. It's like, you don't understand, it keeps happening to me. Well, there's a reason why. And that's the law of organization. Now, the law of organization is when you do believe that there's some organizing principle or power that is responsible for how things appear in your life. Now, some people call that organizing principle or power God, Buddha, Allah, universe, Mother Earth, nature, whatever. I'm not here to tell you what to believe or how to believe it. I'm here, I always say, I respect your right to your own personal research. We all have our journeys, and we all find out what we find out when we find out. And so it's your job to really start paying attention and really start looking at things. And that's the purpose of this video today, to really help you see, is everything that's happening just happening to you randomly, and you're just a hapless victim where you can't do anything about it? Or maybe that there's something going on underneath the surface that you're not even aware of. Maybe there's something that you're supposed to learn. Maybe there's some things that you're doing wrong unintentionally or unknowingly, which may be contributing to the results that you're getting. So when you subscribe to the law of organization, you believe that everything does happen for a reason, and that the results that show up in your life show up for a reason. There's something going on. And so with the law of organization, it's kind of like you're dealt a hand of cards, and you initially get that hand, and it's like, okay, not the ideal hand I was looking for. But you know what? Doesn't mean that I have to stay with this hand. I can turn this hand into a better hand. And that's how the law of organization works. So the people who subscribe to the law of organization, they have the optimist mentality. That's the glass half full. It's like, you know what? There's something I need to learn. There's something that I need to change. There's something going on, something I need to do differently in order to get the results that I really want. So I'll give you an example. I have my nephew who's a very, very good wrestler. And in his first year of wrestling, he lost in the finals. Now, trained really hard. The second year he got back. Now, the second year he broke his leg, and he got back on the mat, and 2 weeks later he broke his wrist. And after all that training, made it back to the state finals again and lost in double overtime. Now, a lot of people would give up and said, forget it. It's just not in the cards for me. It's not going to happen. It's all it can be, and come up with all the reasons and excuses. But what he did is he just trained harder, and he said, okay, what do I need to learn? What's going to put me over that edge? And ultimately, he did his work, and ultimately he succeeded, and he became the state champion. And, a lot of people look at him and say, wow, what an amazing kid. And if you really get into his mindset and how he looks at things and how he does things, it's completely different than a lot of the other wrestlers. And that's probably the reason why he's the state champion. If you look at him, he's not the most physically gifted. And, he doesn't have these special, this special strength. He trains really hard, but more importantly, he trains really smart. Tony Robbins has an expression that says, success is 80% psychology, 20% strategy. It's all in here. And that's what we're trying to do here at GPS for Love, is to give you the mindset, what needs to happen in here so that you can then create the strategies and tips to go out and change the results you want in your life. Now, I'm going to be completely honest. If you're following GPS for Love, by now you probably understand which law I subscribe to. And again, I'm not going to tell you what law you need to subscribe to. That's your journey. And what I want you to do after this call is really take some mirror time, get like brutally honest at yourself and say, okay, which of these two laws do I subscribe to? Because you have to subscribe to one or the other. That's just the way it works. Whether you are aware of it or not, you are subscribing to one of these laws or the other. Now, there was a time in my life where I subscribed to the law of chaos. I believed that life was just happening to me. Dating was unfair. Love life sucked. There's nothing I can do. It was all in the hands of the gods. It just wasn't meant to happen for me. All the stories, all the excuses that put me in that victim mentality. But then ultimately I realized that, you know what? It may not be true. And I started to change my mindset, and I started to change the way I was doing things. And I learned that the reason why dating sucked for me is because in reality, I wasn't any good at it. I didn't enjoy it, and I didn't know what to do and how to do it. I didn't know where to meet good quality people. I didn't know, how to put myself out there. I tried really hard to put on this front so someone would like me instead of just showing up and being my true authentic self. And so once I realized that, you know what, it's not true, things aren't happening to me. It's actually happening for me. And I'm meant to learn some things. I'm meant to learn to make some changes. And then I went and started making those changes. And I started learning some things and started implementing them. And then all of a sudden I started meeting higher quality women to date. And then within a few months of doing that, I ultimately met the woman who would be my wife. And so I kind of laugh because it's like I was living blind for so long and I didn't even know it. I was living in a dark room and I didn't even know it. And then ultimately someone came on and turned on the light and go, oh, wow, this is the way it really is. And that new awareness, that new change in mindset was the catalyst that helped me go out and make the results that I ultimately desired and deserve. And so that's why I created this video for you today, is I want you to take some serious mirror time and look at which is the law that you've been subscribing to. And if you see that it's the law of chaos, just be honest and say, you know what? I've been looking at the glass as half empty. Now, you can continue to look at it half empty. It's your choice. Nobody's putting a gun to your head. Nobody's saying you have to look at it another way or a different way. Or you can say, you know what? There's a better way of looking at this. And now you're open to the possibilities of making those changes, of learning the things, of finding the solution, because that's the way your brain works. If your brain says, you know what, it sucks, there's nothing I can do, it's just all chaos, and I'm just a random victim in this thing called life, then your brain goes, you know what, you're absolutely right. Here's proof. Or if you say, you know what, wow, there is something going on. I may not be aware of it, but there is some organizing principle, and this isn't happening to me, it's happening for me, and I'm meant to learn. What is it I'm meant to learn? Now your brain goes, cool, let's go find the answers. And that's the way it works. It's really, really amazing when you understand the neuroscience. This is the basic of what quantum physics is all about. It's all just a giant system of energy, and things happen in very predictable and specific ways. So I know this may be a little more scientific, a little more energy kind of woo-woo kind of stuff, but it's the truth, based on what I've learned in my experience. And I'm not here to tell you it needs to be your truth. I respect you to do your journey to figure out ultimately what's going to work. But the bottom line at the end of the day, it all comes down to, are you getting the results you desire and deserve? If you are, great, keep doing what you're doing. If not, that's when you got to take that mirror time and go, maybe there's some things that I need to learn. And I tell you, if you do that, that's when things will start to change. So, know I threw a lot at you. Know this was a little deep. I'd love to hear from you today. After you take your mirror time, go ahead in the box below and really put down what law you've been subscribing to. And again, this is a place of non-judgment, because we want to see that we're not alone, that we all kind of in the same boat, and we all kind of do the same things unknowingly. So go ahead, take that mirror time, put it in the box below. As always, an honor and privilege to be with you. I'll see you next time. Much love.